Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. You're alive. You're feeling better?
Oh my God, that was awful. I
Oh, poor thing.
don't even know what happened, but I feel like 80%, I guess, today. But I'm not.
No, that's good.
I'm not throwing up. So that part's great.
It's a good start.
Yes, exactly.
Well, good for you. I'm glad to hear that.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Let's see. I guess we'll just give everybody a few more minutes. Let's see. Stan, Robby.
I prepared a song and dance number. Is there? I don't know if I should do that in the beginning or the end. Or
We can do that right before Q&A. If that works.
perfect.
Leading up to Q&A. That's funny. I'm sure Robby will have one too. So,
Of course he will.
Have you gone into the office at all? Or are you still just working from home?
I'm gonna go there today. Actually, I'm excited. But I haven't been there much. I went to go and pick up my face mask that I ordered over the weekend. But no, I've not been to the office much at all.
Yeah, I miss it.
Right.
Hello, Virginia.
Morning, everyone.
Hi there. How are you?
I'm good.
It's good. Good to see you.
Yeah. Come to the office. You are in your office.
Perfect.
All right.
Hey, Lee.
How are you?
Today. Are you well?
I'm better. I don't know what that was, but it's gone, so that's all that matters.
Not,
Do what?
not COVID.
No,
Rona.
I was like, oh my gosh, no! I made it this far. I cannot.
You keep that Rona out of here. Don't come into the office.
No, I'm telling you, it was awful. It was awful. Alrighty.
Lee, do you know what you ate?
I mean, I eat collard greens and vegetables, so I don't know. I don't know. I got a Starbucks double shot. I'm just like trying to rack my brain and figure out what it was, but
Oh, wow.
I don't know. It's just another. It's just 2020. Honestly, it's the way.
Good point.
All bets are off. Mm-hmm.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Man, look at Rogan dropping it like it's hot with earrings and fresh makeup, ready to go.
Hey, we're starting over.
Are we?
This is now January. We're just gonna put on 21 and just start completely fresh.
I like it. We're going to ask some staging tips of that china cabinet behind you, Sam, so you let us know. Ready for that question?
Perfect.
Love it.
Excellent. Everyone has their questions, right? So no surprises there.
Mhm.
Awesome sauce.
We changed those all last minute, so
We can handle it.
right.
And yeah, so maybe what we do, Lee, is we'll trade off. We'll rotate between people. We'll ask one question on each list, so we'll get a diversity of sharing on that. But we will follow the question script and ask for Q&A just so we can get through, because I think we have a pretty good amount of content to cover in the 1 hour, and we will not go over. So
Perfect.
good to see you on here, Robin. DJ Rob Bass. So typically start at 10:29. We'll start about 10:34. That works for everyone. David Dorris, how have you been, my friend? What's new in your world?
Getting back to it. Getting back to the office.
Is my house on? I'm gonna pause the recording here. All right, everyone, we're hot and recording live here this morning. It is 10:37, and this morning we've got the fabulous Lee Fund and yours truly hosting and moderating an expert panel on selling your value and best practices there within. Today on the panel, we have the amazing Sam Graham, Virginia Rogan,
Hello, everyone.
David Dorris, and Robby Stone. Robby Stone, everyone. So we're going to keep it at an hour. We'll be out of here by 11:30, no later. And we've got some great questions and awesome tips to share with you that we're excited you're joining us here on the call. So I'm going to go ahead and let Lee kick it off. We can, if you'd like, I'd like to do introductions for those that may not know you. If you could give us a quick 2-minute introduction on yourself, how long in the business, what's your favorite color, and just give us a 2-minute highlight on yourself. So let's start with Mr. Graham.
Hi, everyone. If we have not met, I am Sam Graham. I've been in real estate and with Village for 5.5 years almost, which is crazy to think about that. I have also had a staging business, pop-up home staging, for just over 3 years, which is also crazy to think about how time flies. But I enjoy finding ways to incorporate the two. One of the things that I love about real estate is it's so many avenues aside from just homes, but staging is one that I enjoy as well. So nice to meet you if we've not met before.
Awesome. Thank you, Sam. David Dorris.
Yeah, David Dorris, been in the business for 15 years. Been at Village the whole time. And my favorite color is purple.
There he is. There's a purple man.
Good
There we go.
answer.
All right, Mr. Stone, Robby Stone.
Robby Stone. I've been in the business almost 5 years in July. Been with Village since day one. Love that and don't plan to go anywhere. Oh man, background is definitely in kind of performance related things. It's not what I went to school for, but it's what I've grown up doing. So I've tried to, and we'll talk about this a bit, but try to incorporate what I naturally love into my business and try to make it fun and exciting.
Awesome, thank you. And I have saved the best for last, my friends. Virginia Rogan, tell us a little about yourself.
Hey, I'm
Go ahead.
Virginia. So yeah, I've been in the business 5 years, solid 5 years with Village, and I moved to Nashville 5 years ago from Austin. So I moved to a new city where I didn't know anyone and got into the real estate business. I come from a contract management background and commercial real estate lending. And that's not super colorful, but it does help me with all my paperwork and And also kind of what I like about this business, which I'll talk about later. Favorite color is red.
Awesome. Awesome. I should have asked your enneagrams or whatever, and we could talk about that next. But awesome. Well, welcome everyone, and for everyone on the Zoom here, if you need to take a call or if you're not chatting, if you don't mind putting yourself on mute, or we'll do that for you if we feel that there's distraction or interruption there. And again, I'm going to turn it over to Lee Fund, if you could, for those that may not know you, give us a little 2-minute on you, and then you can kick off into questions.
Hello, everybody. I'm Lee Fund. I'm one of the brokers here at Village. Hopefully, y'all know that. I've been in Nashville since 2013. I've been in real estate, I guess, off and on since 2006, which is crazy because I'm only like 27, so I don't really know how that happened. But anyway, so I'm going to be ready out with this call today. We'll go ahead and start with the one and only Robby Stone. So Robby, obviously, like you said, you have a performance background, and we've definitely seen a lot of that in some of your marketing pieces. So I really just wanted to touch on kind of where you come up with your ideas and how do you think of this stuff. You're really clever we've seen you kind of do a musical at one of your listings. You're a calendar cover photo queen, I guess you could say. Yeah, we just want to see kind of your process. How do you come up with that stuff, and kind of go from there?
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of it is just kind of getting into this business. I don't have any sort of background in real estate. I don't have any family that has ever been in it. So I didn't really know the rules of real estate, and I'm kind of glad because I may have tried to play by them more had I kind of known what sort of the expected role of a realtor is and how you're supposed to market and how you're supposed to promote and that sort of thing. So I think it was just a happy accident of kind of not knowing the rules and therefore not feeling like I had to be in some box with things. And there are no rules, I think, is what we all learn. But initially, you know, you look around and you see, and there's this idea of what a realtor is supposed to be. And I'm glad I kind of didn't have some of that from an outsider's perspective. But yeah, I grew up doing musical theater, loved, you know, anything related to that, did musicals in high school and college and all of that. But then going to college, I kind of went in the opposite direction and have a degree in sports medicine and was going to be a doctor and all of that. So I think once I realized that was not my path, I kind of just broke free and really explored the entertainment aspect of things for a while and moved out to LA and then moved here to do music and did music videos and commercials and that sort of thing. So getting into real estate, I didn't want to lose that, but I knew, you know, it's not a business that you can just kind of half do. You've got to dive fully in. And so I knew that as a creative, it would kind of kill me a little bit to not incorporate that into my business. And so really a lot of the ideas are somewhat spur of the moment, or just talking with other creatives and other people who want to see something different or just have different ideas and for sure don't know kind of the rules of the business. So some of the stuff is like my friend Mia, who's been in a few of my videos. She is brilliantly talented and always up for just anything stupid. And so just talking with her, we come up with crazy ideas for videos, and she is someone who's like, yeah, you should totally do that. Like, and a lot of people might be like, you're crazy. That's really different. And then talking like the calendar idea, for instance, if it's really so silly, but like I love touch points with clients and really staying top of mind with them. And so we have a lot of ways that we do that. But this year, around Christmas time, we've done things in the past, and Robin and I were Robin is, if you don't know Robin Nelson, I'm sorry. You need to get to know her. She is incredible. But she's our assistant. We're so fortunate to have her, but we kind of spitball ideas, and Robin's another one that is so good about just being like, yeah, let's run with that idea. Let's dig in more and think about how we can actually do that. And so we were talking through, okay, what could we do for a client gift that's interesting and fun? And I was like, we should totally just do totally joking, like, let's do a 12-month calendar, just my face. And she was like, no, really, maybe you should explore that. And so we came up with this stupid thing, which is literally, I've for years used the face swap app to put my face on other people's pictures.
I need everybody to lean in and take a look at this baby, because we're going to post this in both bathrooms for sure.
Come on, Babs.
All location.
So
This one's
silly,
okay.
but we did different albums and put my face on them and send it out to clients. And I think that's been really well received. It is not for everybody. And I think I knew that with my marketing, is like, I'm not a fit for everybody, and that's okay. And not everybody is going to get me or feel like I'm the right fit for them. And I think that was an important thing for me to learn in life, period. I'm definitely a people pleaser, and I want to be helpful to everyone, but I've learned through other experiences that, you know, who I am and how I act isn't for everybody and is not going to be accepted by everybody. And so finding the people that I am the right fit for has been important in life outside of real estate. And so I've brought that in with kind of how I do my marketing and just how I am me, and hopefully try to be as unabashedly me as possible. And there are people who would get this and be like, what the hell is that? But my clients, the response has been hilarious. And it's 12 months of like reminding them every month, hey, I'm here. I'm hopefully fun and you enjoyed your time with me. And when it's time to do whatever real estate related again, reach out. That was a lot. Sorry, I can talk, guys.
I love it. Has this been your favorite marketing piece you've done so far? Was the calendar, or is it hard to say?
It's made me laugh more than anything. Like Robin and I just cracked up putting it together because it's so stupid. Like it's so dumb. But we had fun with it, and yeah, so far it's been, I think, probably the best return. I got a client who I showed homes to Sunday who was like, I was at my friend Kelly's house and saw your calendar, and I immediately was like, oh, that's the agent I have to work with. Granted, I had another client who reached out and was like, I had my coworker over and they were like, what is this? So that person will not be contacting me, and that's okay.
Right. That's awesome. Well, if you could give, you don't have to give a total of 5 tips, but if you have to give everybody on the call like some tips on how to come up with creative marketing ideas, or, you know, kind of that process, what would those be?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big believer in remembering that we're selling ourselves in this business. You are dealing with something that's very serious, and there's definitely a degree of your marketing that needs to show that. Like everything I put is not this goofy, lighthearted, because we do have a serious job. So I always want to find the balance of that, of presenting me, but also presenting really good data and stats that show, okay, I can have a good time, but I'm also really good at what I do and I'm an expert. So I think that's something I need to always keep in mind for myself is, hey, be a resource that's offering not just fun things, but offer good insight and good data and good stats that everyone can use, not just those people who, you know, love a silly video or something like that. So thinking through that, I think we get a lot of resources through Village and our leadership that are great things to repost and make it kind of easy to do that. And if you're not one that likes digging for data, which is not necessarily my forte, I would say, I love taking those snippets and helping explain them, because looking at a chart is very different than someone kind of explaining what the data means. It makes sense to us because we know what we're doing. And that's another thing that how I approach marketing is remembering that the things that are just second nature to all of us are not to everyone else. They are not keeping a pulse on the market, even though because we're doing it every day, all the time. I think in the beginning, I would just assume that people knew the simple things about real estate or kind of trends. And I have to always remind myself that no, like, we are valuable and I'm an asset, and I need to make sure that I remember to present even the most simple ideas in real estate in the way I approach things. Because starting at, this point is great, but really sometimes starting at the lower levels of information and kind of the basics help even more, and you reach a wider audience, and people aren't just overwhelmed.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. We love your authentic self. I think it is priceless. And so we really appreciate it. And I can't wait to see what else you're going to come up with. I'm excited. So
everybody stay tuned. At the end of this today, we're going to post a real special treat for those that haven't seen it on something that Robby did. So stay tuned for the end of this. We'll close with that. All right, we're going to go over to Virginia Rogan. And Virginia, you have been in the business 5 impactful years. You've made a great presence and been an awesome leader in our industry of just how to develop relationships and care for clients. And we have some new graduates, as you can see with my background here from Jumpstart, and we always could use some great tips on how to build relationships and just kill them with kindness and selling your values. So give us a few tips on working with first-time home buyers, if you could. And sometimes they're challenging, but what are a couple tips in working with them that you have found to work well?
Thanks, Teddy. I guess one of the most important things to me in getting into this business, even though I come from contract management background, is just, we all know there's so much to learn about this business. And so one of my big things is education. And so I really, if the people I meet kind of know the process and know what's involved, know the numbers and all of that, I feel like they're more comfortable with the entire process of going into buying a home. And so, kind of over the years, I've developed nothing, I haven't reinvented a wheel or anything. I've just taken what I've learned from other people and what I've learned at Village, especially, and put together what I enjoy using, and hopefully my clients find beneficial. It's, the first time I hear from someone who is interested in buying a home, I have a packet, a buyer's packet that I like to send to them right away. And then I also follow that up with a questionnaire so they can tell me a little bit about themselves and a little bit about what they're looking for. But in this package that I send them, I do include the Village, buyer package. But in addition to that, I started kind of this all about series, and they're just little tip sheets that I put together that will talk about, all about prioritizing your wants and needs, all about all about your, getting a mortgage, all about your final walkthrough. It's just, there are a lot of little tip sheets, all about buyer representation. What does that mean? So I include those in the package. And the other thing that I include in the package is the entire suite of purchase documents. And that can be a little overwhelming to people, which, I think that reminds them why they need an agent to walk them through the process. So I have that, the entire suite of documents that they need, other information on, do you have a smart home? All about, the lead-based paint, radon, all of the information that they would want to know. And then I've got a little booklet. I have the ABR designation. And so they put out a book, a small pamphlet on, just how to buy a home. So I try to give them a lot of information to look at in advance of our meeting, if possible. I mean, I will drop that thing in the mail send them a questionnaire. And then when we get together for our meeting, we can talk about what's in the packet. But one of the other things that I really like to stress to them is that they go through those purchase documents. And, you know, let's go through them together. Let's learn them so that when the time does come to present an offer, we're not stumbling around trying to figure out what documents and to learn about all of those documents. So those are a few of the things. The other thing that I think that has really been beneficial too is doing a net sheet for people. I think, you know, an estimated cost. What do I need to bring to closing? What is the money? I mean, you know, that's going to drive people to know what they can afford, what they can spend monthly, how much money they need to bring to the closing table. And I even use those at open houses. You know, I've got just a quick calcs. You know, if you want to buy this house, here's what it looks like if you put down 5, 10, 15, 20%. And that, I think that has helped just, you know, bring people in and we can talk about the finances of the business. And then once so, you know, that's how I engage with buyers first off. I want them to really understand what's going on so that they are comfortable. Because if they're not comfortable, it's not going to be fun. And, you know, I'm kind of the opposite of Robby, probably. I wish I was as colorful and creative and all, but I think just making people comfortable with the whole buying process, because it's a huge investment for people and complicated. So I do that, but then, you know, so we've gotten through all of that, and then we get into, you know, looking at homes. They find a home, we put an offer in, they already know the documents because we've gone through them. But then as soon as we do that, you know, they get complete details and timeline on their purchase. And then I've got a series of emails that I send them throughout the contract period that talks about their inspection and what they can do before the inspection, what they can expect, what they, you know, what happens after the inspection is done, you know, the mortgage process, the appraisal. So it's just a kind of a series of template emails that I've put together over time that I can send out to people that I think are informative and just help them kind of understand what's going on throughout the process. Let's see. They also get closing details. And then, you know, once the whole thing is over, you know, they do get a final email from me, not a final, but, you know, kind of a thank you email request, of course, refer their recommendations, testimonial, that's what I'm trying to say. Get that, but then I have a schedule of follow-ups. You know, 2 days, 1 week, 1 month, 2 month. And then, you know, they, at closing, they get a kind of a homeowner's notebook that has all of their purchase docs, their home warranty, their insurance, their appraisal, their, you know, even a kind of a home maintenance log that they can put in. And then over time, you know, after closing, I reach out to them to see if they need resources for any kind of home care situation. So that's another way that I keep in touch with them. And then everybody gets a, you know, a home address stamp, and that comes a month after they move in. And oftentimes I'll go visit them and drop that off at their house. And then let's see, what is the other thing?
Well, you know, while you're looking for that or thinking on that, you know, what strikes me about your process is, and, you know, as you're going to hear today, everybody on here, is if you take 2 nuggets, don't get overwhelmed by more than that. If you take 2 things that you will implement in the next 30 days, you're winning. So, but is your process, Virginia, it's really not just for first-time buyers. This is something you follow systematically for all buyers. It's not just.
Yeah, it is for all buyers. You know, people don't buy homes all the time. And so, you know, even though it might be your first time, if it's been 8 years, it's been a while. Things change. You know, the market changes. So, yeah, I think it works well for first-time home buyers, but also for, you know, anyone.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody have anything to add to that? I should ask that too at Robby's. Any of your people on the panel have anything to add about their process, or feel free to jump into. Cool. Sam?
I'll quickly add something. I completely agree with what you said, Ted, is that it's very easy in this industry to get overwhelmed. You know, you hear someone speaking of all these things that they do, and you're immediately, I can never do all that. So like you said, if you can take, you know, one or two things from any of this, then already you're winning, because it's a lot and easy to get overwhelmed. So don't let it do that. I'll speak for a bit, just as far as a little more on my background and how I kind of got into this. I'll be the first to admit that I am a self-proclaimed bad gay. So although I enjoy like style and fashion and things of that sort, design wasn't always, you know, a strong suit. It's easier for me to take something that already exists and kind of alter it, or, you know, critique it in some sort of way. But, you know, to come into a completely blank space and to create something is, you know, was more difficult to me. So it definitely took time to study and, you know, I had to learn quite a bit to get to where I am now. And I say that because if any, you know, aspect of anything that you're even remotely interested in, don't get overwhelmed by it. You can study and learn and pick people's brains to get to, you know, what you need to be and where you want to be. So elaborate on staging. Staging is something that I thoroughly enjoy. In this industry, I feel that it's a very extroverted industry, and you need to always be on and, you know, be in front of people. And, you know, part of that's true. You need to put yourself out there in order to get clients and build yourself up. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that everyone is an extrovert. I personally consider myself to be an extroverted introvert. So I'm fine with going out if I need to, but I, you know, kind of prefer to be in the background if I can. Staging is something that allows me the creative outlet that I'm looking for, but at the same time, I'm not, sometimes I don't even meet the clients, honestly. Granted, I prefer to, but I get to just kind of do my own thing, work at my own pace, and then, you know, present something, and then step back and let, you know, the listing agent shine or something like that. Again, with real estate, I think that there's so many different streams that you can, you know, express yourself or be involved in. So that this is something that I chose, but, you know, feel free to, once you're good in real estate and or not good, but, you know, got your flow and rhythm, if you want to, you know, add something else onto your resume, then feel free to explore things of that sort. Let's see here. One thing that if I could give 3 tips, you know, staging obviously is amazing and very impactful. But oftentimes I am not able to, or sellers are not able to, can't afford the staging, or, you know, so I try to find things for them to do to still impact their listing and make it as presentable as possible, but obviously cost effective. And one thing that I you know, think that everyone knows, but every time, you know, people often forget, is that decluttering. Go through the home and just thoroughly look in each single room and just remove things. I mean, ultimately, in this case, more times than not, less is more, less is more, less is more. Even, you know, obviously you have some photos that you can tell the listing agent just walked in with their iPhone and barely even took time to focus for a photo. But obviously you can tell that some are professional photos, but just the same, I'll still see, you know, a kitchen counter just full of appliances, and, you know, some of those can be removed for photos if they don't need them. I often tell my sellers, if you can get through a month of not using this, let's just remove it altogether. Obviously you want to remove it something for the photo, but if they don't need it, then remove it for the showings as well. Go through, I'll see listing photos, and even ones that are done professionally, but in the child's bedroom, and it's just 8,000 teddy bears on the bed, and, you know, anything that you see that is distracting you from the room itself, or from the view, or whatever you're supposed to be looking at, you know, then it should be removed, or, you know, tamed down in some sort of way. So again, it's free to declutter. Go through the home, remove things. You know, East Nashville, all these old homes with smaller closets. If you can, go through, and if it's wintertime, remove your summer clothing. If it's, you know, summertime, remove the winter clothing, just to make it look not so crammed. You know, the small things really do have an effect. So first thing I would always recommend is to declutter. Another thing that I think, and I feel that this one is often overlooked, it's inexpensive in the grand scheme of things, but has a pretty big impact. And that is fixtures. If you walk into a home and the first thing you see is a huge chandelier, but it clearly looks like it's, 50 years old or something, simply $100, $200 switching that out is going to just naturally make the home feel more up to date, more modern. Go through the home and any sort of fixtures or any sort of small things like that that you can switch out, update, that is very inexpensive, can quickly or easily be done for the most part, then do that. Go ahead, and it's just going to have such more of a bigger impact as you're walking through the home. So highly one that I recommend. Another is going to be painting. Obviously, everyone knows that, a fresh coat of paint is going to have a big impact, but at the same time, it can be expensive if you have a big house, or especially if you have very tall ceilings or something like that. You may not be able to afford to have someone come out and paint. But if you are able to get paint yourself, how much is a bucket of paint? And I would imagine that for the most part, everyone can do a decent job. Again, when you're getting into the tall ceilings, maybe that's better for a professional or something. But if you can put on a coat of paint in a bedroom, if your teenage daughter still has that neon pink bedroom from when she was, 4, it's probably time to update that and get a more muted color tone. So therefore, it's more appeasing to more buyers. So again, you don't necessarily have to have a professional painter come in and pay thousands of dollars. But always in general, try to look for things that are going to have a big impact, but are going to be less cost effective, which is going to really just help everyone out. One thing that I'm often asked is something along the lines of, how do I talk to people or get them to make the changes, or something of that. You're essentially telling them, hey, your home is not as great as you think it is, how can we adjust this? And it's tough, it's a fine line that you have to balance between. You need to tell them these things, but you don't want to be rude, you don't want to be offensive. I and our team, the static team, we live by Brene Brown, and one thing that she abides by is choose discomfort over resentment. Choose discomfort over resentment. Take that 2 minutes and have that conversation, and it's just going to save time for everyone down the line. Worst case, if you don't tell your seller that they need to do something, and then a month later why is my home not sold? And now they're mad at you, and it's just easier to have that conversation in the beginning. Go through and tell them if there's things that they need to do, if there's things that, like, hey, I know you think that this is great, or that sounds rude. Hey, I know that this is great. However, and one thing that I always say is that we want to have the biggest buyer pool possible. Someone is going to love this. However, we want this to be for the biggest buyer pool as possible. So therefore, you need to have the tough conversations sometimes. At pop-up staging, one thing that we offer is what I call is a walk and talk, and we'll come in through the home for your seller and walk with them through the home and just kind of recommend things to do this. We'll recommend some paint colors, things, whatever they need to know. We don't actually do any of the staging or anything like that, but that's one of the more cost-effective ways of getting things done. I often find that it's easier for a third-party person, a non-biased person, to come in. So therefore, if you don't feel comfortable telling your seller, to make these changes, then we'll come in, and it's easier for us. We don't know these people, but really, I think that it's very important that these conversations are had with sellers, and it's tough. I get it, but choose discomfort over resentment, and it's gonna work out better for everyone in the end.
Yeah, it's so invaluable to have that other resource. I was talking to my folks on the Jumpstart class of how I handle listings, and the first thing we do is start at the front door and we walk the house. And I tell them, look, it's not about you anymore. As soon as this house doesn't feel like yours, we know we're on the right track. As soon as you're uncomfortable in your own home, we're closer to it being ready for a new buyer. And so the words that I'm going to use when we walk through is distracting. If there's anything too cool, too unique, or too personal, you don't have to get rid of every personal photo, but if it's distracting, which means collegiate things, marital things, your medieval sword, whatever picture, if it's distracting, and that word, I think, has, in my experience, has tend to work really well with sellers understanding versus it being something. So I use that word distracting, and I use percentages. We need to reduce these shelves by 50%. and they kind of get that. And I say the garage is a very forgiving place to just, you know, it's not if, it's when I'm selling your house. And so let's get boxes and get to it. And Sam does a fantastic job of being an alternative voice to come in. So thank you, Sam.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And for everyone, we're also posting some things in the chat. There'll be more coming there. In the chat window, you'll see next to, there's 3 dots called the hamburger, I think. Isn't that called the hamburger, Robbie? The 3 dots. And so you'll click on the 3 dots and you'll see save chat. So you never have to copy and paste. You can get the whole chat window, save chat. That's your Zoom tip for today. So you're welcome. All right, we're gonna turn it over to the fabulous David Dorris, our longtime veteran on our panel here today. And David, we know you are an expert in so many areas, especially working with investors and developers. And it's a very different business. And I think a lot of times when people get in the business, they think, oh, I want to work with new construction. I want to go get builders. And so I'd love you to hear a little bit about kind of what people need to be prepared if they think they want to do that. And how do you set yourself apart from competition in working with, in your business and with developers?
So I think it's similar to real estate. And every other facet is, you know, you got to add value. And so I think with new construction, understanding what your builder, investor, whoever you're working for is trying to accomplish. Are they trying to get a 10% return? Are they, you know, what do they need to meet their goals? And so then you can bring them deals that fit that criteria. Because I think when you just see a piece of land and you just send it to somebody, does this work? People, developers and investors get deal fatigue looking at stuff. And if you're just not taking any time and you're just sending them things without understanding what they're looking for, then you're not really adding any value to them. You're just like hoping that something you send clicks, and then they'll use you because you emailed it over. So one thing I always try and figure out to build that rapport with a client, we'll call them going forward, is what are you looking for? Are you looking to do flips? Are you looking to do new construction? Are you looking to do multifamily? And once you can kind of identify that, then you can bring them deals that are in their wheelhouse. So that's part of it. The other part I think that is tempting about new construction and multifamily is just the commission dollars. So you look at a deal and you think, oh, wow, I'm going to make, you know, all this money. This thing is going to be however many sales and it's going to equate to all this money. And I encourage you to try and never do the math, even though we kind of are used to doing it in our heads pretty quickly. But if it doesn't sell, you're not going to make any money. And so if you do the math before and get excited about a deal that doesn't work in the first place, then you're going to spend a bunch of time and energy and you're never going to get paid. And I think that that's one of the pitfalls of new construction is just whatever, you know, $20 million. Oh, wow, those commissions are going to be awesome. But when you break that project down and you look at all the numbers, can you sell 1,000 square foot 2-bedroom for $675? Okay, you can't. Well, then you're never going to get that $20 million payday anyways. So doing good deals create more good deals. They have babies that are little good deals, and then they grow up to have more good deals and more good deals. So, and bad deals go into quarantine. So if you do good deals, you'll do more good deals. And so I always think like finding somebody who adds value to what you're trying to accomplish. So for me, like when I first got started, it would be bringing on an agent who was an expert or somebody who could help me look really good with the developer. And I give up some of my commission for that. But over time, I'm able to do deals without somebody else or bring on team to help do that or different avenues. But I think there's also that fear of holding it all to yourself, and then you don't have anybody to bounce it off of. It's like, you want these deals to work, and I'll find myself, you can get in these rooms and you can start to just get excited about something, and actually the sales numbers don't work, but you just want it to work so bad that you can kind of get hyped up on that. And it's good to have that collaboration with somebody else. Like, is this really going to sell for that? Like, look at these comps. none of these are selling. And so we've had a couple of times where we've even turned stuff down. I think it goes back to what Robby said. It's like, not everybody isn't your client. And so finding people that work with you, that understand you, that are going to be open just like you're open with them. So what do they need to make the deal work? And in the same sense, they know that you're being honest with them. Because I think realtors have a reputation as like, oh, we'll put the project together and then we'll get the realtor later to sell it. And I've really tried to explain to my developers, like, bring me in early so we can get the sizes right, so that I can have a product that I'm confident in selling. And you don't put some project together where you think the numbers work because you cherry picked a couple closings and now you got 75 units we got to sell, and we're not going to be able to move 75 units at those prices because there's only been 5 sales in the condo market that even match that. So let's see if I have anything else. Do you have more questions for me?
Well, that was fantastic, David. I mean, you're just an expert in this area, and we're so thankful that you are a partner at Village, and have, it's just awesome. So for those on here, I mean, just, you have so much expertise on this panel and in our company in such a diverse in such a diverse expertise. But
thanks, man.
Andrea asked, do you find the land for developments, for example, silo, and maybe you can give some distinctions between some of your bigger development deals versus some of your infill, and how that process kicks off for a couple minutes?
Yeah. One other thing that I was going to say is that written down was, I always try and make deals work at today's prices. So, you know, I'm a realtor, not a fortune teller. So like, if you think the deal works at today's prices and then the market goes up, which it has for the last 10 years, and that's been great every time, but I never want to be the one promising this future appreciation. That's just cream for the developer, and they're going to be happy with you and they're going to want to do more deals with you. And if you promise something that's in the future that, you know, something like COVID comes through and changes everything, you're still in a decent spot if you didn't promise a bunch of appreciation. On deals that I find, sometimes I find deals, sometimes as I've worked with developers over the years, they'll bring stuff to me and want to know my opinion. I think that's where, when you build rapport over time, they trust your expertise. So they want to know, do you think this deal works before they move forward with it? But at the beginning, adding value, yeah, finding the land is a big part of it. For silo, it's a crazy story, but I saw it in the business journal. I saw that the land was purchased and Southeast Venture was putting together this plan, and I knew some guys at Southeast Venture, and I called over there and said, who's developing the residential piece? And they said, we don't have anybody yet. And we went in, and I went in with Evergreen, so Hunter and Aaron. We ended up not getting it put together, and then I went in with Mark and Andy Beard with Core. After that, we ended up not getting it put together with them. Another group got it under contract, and then that fell out, and they called us back, and then we went back in the room and got it done. So sometimes that's how stuff goes, and there's, I mean, it's not always just turning up this piece that isn't, that no one else knows about. Sometimes it's right there in front of you, like, and that's just, that's how that one came together. Yeah, like, different ones have come together in different ways, but
you never need to be afraid that somebody, if you think in your head, oh, somebody else has probably already called them, you're missing it. Because even if somebody else has, many times they haven't, because they're thinking the same thing you are. So when you drive by that for sale by owner, excuse me, or you drive by a vacant piece of land, excuse me, take a picture or jot it down in your notes. I carry a dry erase marker in all my cars, and I have 2 cars and they're older. I keep one by my, I keep one at my desk to write on the window. So I have notes when I write addresses down. Well, I mean, it's silly, like, right? I have an older 4Runner and whatever. So, but the dry erase pen is quick for me to make those notes, because you got to make that call. And I love that you shared that, David. Look how much hustle and years went into the deal of silo and how complex that is. And I want to say to everyone, don't start fishing in a pond you're not ready to catch. And so you really just diminish your future value. in all aspects, right? That means staging, contracts, working with first-time buyers, lenders, expertise, like, and just get yourself educated on that. And these folks don't just call people and say, hey, could you teach me how to work with developers, right? My suggestion would be, David, if somebody wanted to learn more about that, what would you suggest as the best way to learn about working with builders or developers and what those deals entail?
I think it's like just getting with people that you see are being successful and trying to pick their brain on stuff and asking questions. I mean, if you've got a person who wants to get into construction or building or investing in stuff, figuring out what they need, figuring out what their returns are. I think sometimes we're scared to ask the questions because it makes maybe feel like we look stupid, like, oh, I should know what somebody wants. Well, everybody wants different returns. There are different expectations, and you need to understand what that client wants. Do they want a fixer upper, a flip, a new construction? And as you go through that, what does it cost you to build? You know, I work with a bunch of different builders, and they're able to build at different prices based on volume and different things. So what does it cost you to build so I can run effective numbers for you? If it costs you $100 a foot to build, you're going to build 2,000 feet. That's easy math. That's $200,000. But some people, it's going to cost them $130 a foot or whatever. You just need to understand those dynamics to be able to bring people stuff that could and couldn't work and talk through it and learn. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff I put together that never made it to fruition. And I put deals together where I sold the land and thought we were going to build 8 houses, and that guy sold the land to somebody else, and that other guy built the 8 houses, and I didn't get paid. You know, I got paid a commission on the land, and I was expecting to get 8 million in sales, and I got 800,000 in sales. It's a bummer, but I still do business with that developer. And I didn't get mad at him for it, because I know that there'll be another opportunity. I put a huge development together a couple years ago, and the developer called me halfway through building the whole thing and said, hey, we're going to rent this. And I was pissed. And then but I understood they got to do what they want to do. And then 3 months later, they called me and said, never mind, we're going to sell it. And I think if I would have acted how I felt, I wouldn't have got the call the 3 months later, so just kind of got to roll with the punches. It's real estate. It's just like everything else. Sometimes stuff's just bigger and you need more people to kind of work through it.
Absolutely. And like I think, like you said, I mean, just educate yourself. And so you can call people and try to pick the brain and ask them to lunch. They're all busy. You may ask to shadow them, or what could I do to help you for free? Like, could I deliver some signs, or can I just be present? Is there any hustle work I can do to help you? If I wanted to learn how to stage a home, I mean, I'll just hustle a load in for Sam just so I can learn what's involved in that to better hone my skill in that craft. That's a way to get close to the people that are experts in a value exchange, rather than maybe asking them for a lunch or could you show me how to do this? That's just sometimes really challenging for experts that are on the hustle. So I want to, we've got about 7 minutes left. I need 3 minutes for a magic surprise at the end. And I want to open up for any Q&A. I'm going to open up the call lines here. Does anyone have any questions they'd like to ask these experts?
Hey, I'll say something quick. It's not a question, but I just want to elaborate on what David said that I think that could help everyone. Obviously, if you're building a development, then like he said, it's helpful for the builder to bring the realtor in the beginning rather than just at the end to sell it. But I think it's also helpful if you have a client that's flipping a home, rather than them just to call you when the home is ready to be listed. If they call you in the very beginning and, you can help them talk on granite prices or something like that. They don't necessarily need to spend $1 billion to sell it, as far as putting in the most expensive of everything, because then they're expecting this huge return and they don't know what the market is going to deliver or something like that. So I find it that we can be helpful as well on smaller projects to be involved in the beginning, and also that gives you an opportunity to go out and learn prices of granite and other materials that they're going to need, and that's going to help you show your value as well. So
amen to that, because I tell my sellers, don't do anything till we talk. because they are going to be doing things thinking like, oh my gosh, don't you love this? And it's like, not all quartz just because it's quartz. I went into a home the other day. I mean, you may have seen my Facebook rant about this lavender tile in a new construction in East Nashville. It just sent me over the hill. And then in another one, there was a beautiful build in the Nations, and you walk inside, you just go, why? Like, why? And I literally called the agent, and I spent 20, 30 minutes going through. And she said, hey, I asked her first, does your builder want this feedback? It's the only reason it hadn't sold, just the selections were terrible. And she goes, well, I thought quartz was good. And it's like, well, yeah, Liberace. I mean, just because it's good doesn't mean it's good in every application or that the selection was right. So amen to that, Sam. Thank you. Any other questions or additions from our panelists? We could go on for hours. There is so much to cover. And thank you for y'all that posted some additional notes here in the chat. All right. Is everybody ready?
I do have one thing as far as from the perspective of, like David saying, stay professional, stay engaged with your clients, even if they're not your clients. Like, I know not all of us are going to be doing huge developments and having those ongoing relationships, but even with one seller, if you don't get it, like if you don't get the listing, it's okay to reach out humbly and say, thank you so much for the opportunity. I would love feedback on what I could have done better. We're all learning, all of us. I did that last week. I didn't get a listing, and I reached out and I was just like, I loved meeting you. Thank you so much. It was such a great opportunity to see your house. I'd love to bring a buyer. And also, I just love to know, I'm always trying to improve. What could I have done? What did the other agent do that was better? And they told me. She was like, well, you asked, so here. And it was priceless. Like, I will never do that again. But it takes being humble and realizing, like, we're all learning. I'm learning every single day. And people want other people to do better. They really do. And they picked somebody else for a reason. And now I know what that reason was, and I can move forward. So I say, even in those small things, learn. Don't ever burn a bridge unless it's just like an abusive client. Get rid of those. But always keep those lines of communication open. Never turn your back on anything, and learn from it, and be humble and be like, yeah, I messed that up. I love that point from David.
Absolutely. Any other additions before we close with our magic? All right, I'd like everybody to hold your hands up. For those that are on video, those that aren't, you can turn your video on. I want you to shake your hands as fast as you can to give a lot of love to everybody that shared today.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to get off my Zoom meeting.
That's okay. Huge love to the panel. Thank you so much. And a special thanks to Lee Fund for putting this all together. And certainly incredible day. We have a special treat here I'm going to close with. I encourage you now.
I have a doctor's appointment that day, so I can't come.
You have a doctor's appointment, Debbie Lehman. I'm going to mute you. Isn't that fun? All right, so we're going to go to our special surprise here. And if you're driving, I encourage you to pull over, because it's worth it, and turn your phone sideways to see landscape mode, because you're about to see one of the most amazing listing promotions I've ever seen. Here it comes. As soon as I get a share screen going on here. All right, you're gonna love this. Hold on, I need to do a new share. Share computer sound, rock and roll. Can you see my screen, everybody? Hands, thumbs up. Okay. Rock and roll.
I just don't see how a home that has such wonderful things.
That. So let's just all pull our jaws up. And
that is awesome.
That short hair, Robby Stone.
Robby will be happy to make one of those for you for $42,300.
Perfect.
And Robby, tell us a little bit about, we know what went into that was an amazing amount of work and talent. You are a singer and a writer, and you have an amazing creative talent. Tell us about the attraction that got, because I know that's hit some national attention, did it not?
Oh God, I don't know about national. That would be awesome. Maybe. It was definitely, I mean, it was very well received. And that was one of those things where I was like, this is either going to go horribly wrong or people will get it and really like it. And I didn't care because we had so much fun making it. But yeah, I mean, it got, you know, I mean, it kind of took off. It was funny, and it is 3 years now or something like that since that was made. And I need to do more, but that was just us before an open house I had. And I was like, we've got to do something to promote this place. And I had time and I had a camera, and we literally had a tripod and me and Mia, and shot that before the open house. And I hosted the open house and went and edited it. So it's just using the skills that you have from other things in life. Everybody has their thing that they do that could be, other people think is crazy and difficult, and it's just what you do naturally. Everybody has that. So use that. Like, think of ways that you can use what you're great at and what you just naturally enjoy, and infuse it into our industry. But yeah, it was fun. People were very, very kind. Teddy, you were one of the kindest through that process of just encouraging more like that and really thinking outside the box. So thank you.
Well, you did an amazing job, and I was so blown away with it. Just the creativity and the execution of that was perfection. He does have a few more, folks, so you can look out for those. I posted a link in the chat to the one you just saw. And I think that just a perfect wrap up, Robby, is in selling your value is determining what is your value. You've got to know your value and sell that, right? Robby has talents. We each do. Sam is showing his. David has his. Virginia and hers. Oh goodness, who's our mixologist? Help me.
David
Payne.
David Payne, right? David Payne, you can build a whole business off. D. Davis is a triathlete. I know things about different people because they've made that a part of their business and a part of their culture. And don't be shy to be that, and don't be intimidated to try to be someone else. It just won't work over time. So we'll do more classes on finding your why and living from and selling from your soul. But I just want to thank everyone and respect your time. It's 11:34. Any parting thoughts before we go here? All right, let's give those hands up again. And thanks to everyone. Appreciate you so much. Make it an amazing day. We love you. We'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. for our morning Thrive chat, and 30 minutes just to hang. And then Thursday, 2 to 3, we will have a class on contract to close here on Zoom. Appreciate you all. Reach out to us if we can help you. Love you. Be good to each other.
Bye.
Bye-bye. We will post this video for everyone to see again if you missed it or we're doing something else. Take care, y'all.